Welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. Brandon Rhymes here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, helping you win in any marketplace. We do that by interviewing all types of great expert contributors, folks that come in, and we talk about all types of different things happening, topics, news, and things of interest. So we got a great guest coming up here. Dr. Harold Schnitzky makes his way back in the studio here. We're going to talk about psychology of success. We're going to talk about artificial intelligence as well. And before we do, we always like to feature our real estate listings. As you know, my wife Lindsay and I own a top 100 ranked real estate team here in Tampa Bay. So we help our sellers profit more and sell faster, utilizing our innovations with radio, TV, and internet marketing. We got a property here at 14131 Finsbury Drive. This is in Spring Hill, Pasco County. I've got a property that is a beautiful home, 2747 square feet, 4 bedrooms, 3 baths. You got a cozy entry room, granite countertops, furnished lanai, beautiful property here, and the flooring and the finishes just look amazing. Nice patio there with some beautiful pavers. Nice home right there in Spring Hill, Florida. Now, we also have several other properties in Tampa Bay. We got a lot of vacant land out there for sale. Multiple parcels. Just listed a property over 100 acres close to Disney World as well. If you know any investors, developers over in that area, we'll definitely bring that one up on the show here soon. So yeah, a lot of hot listings. This one is 2156 Masters Court, Dunedin, Florida. This is Masters Court. We just did a price reduction, price improvement, and this property is ready to go. Golf cart community right here in Dunedin, Florida. 20 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 3 bath, cozy living room, and you have also direct access to the pool right across the parking lot, and it is another beautiful Tampa Bay community that is close to a golf community. It's St. Andrews Links Golf Club, 2156 Masters Court in Dunedin, Pinellas County. You can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com. All right, Dr. Harold Shinitzky, welcome back.
Thanks for inviting me back. Love being here with y'all.
My pleasure. Good to have you. And yeah, let's jump right into it. I'm going to talk about. I got some jobs, a couple of articles here. I want to talk about job layoffs, and I want to talk about how that plays into psychology for people. And let's start off with the psychology of success. I think that was one of our topics we wanted to jump into.
The psychology of success plays into all different areas, not only in sports, where I happen to have my specialty, but obviously in the business world. Having the knowledge is kind of a baseline, but you have to be able to have the positive mindset, the capacity of having diligence, persistence. We always talk about making SMART goals for individuals to start out, and if you're familiar with that, it's an acronym, so you want to be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-oriented. When you can do that and find out what your core values are, then you can drive forward. So you have to set up long-term goals with short-term steps. And since we always talk about there are no guarantees, you have to be able to increase your probability of success.
Right.
The mindset of success is having positivity.
Yes.
It's kind of the abundance idea.
Right.
So rather than looking at it as a fixed issue and I don't want to fail, and whenever you focus on not failing, unfortunately, that's the direction your mind is focusing. If you're focusing on positivity, then you start looking at options, and that's where abundance comes in.
Yeah. I've heard it said also, throughout our Keller. I teach classes throughout Keller Williams, one called Win with Sellers, and I've heard it said is detach yourself from the outcome. Because if you detach yourself from the outcome, now you're just focused on, like you said, it's probability and it's a numbers game, and what can I do in that moment, in the present, to continue to have that positive mindset, and then that next call might, instead of being a no, that next call is going to be a yes.
Wonderfully said. The difference between someone being successful and not might be just trying one more time.
Yes.
The capacity of being able to understand that there are no guarantees, and as you said, just what can I do with probability? We never focus on outcomes. The amazing thing is it's the process that gets you to the outcomes.
Right.
You can do your best. You can have the best product. You can give the best sell. The individual comes in, tells you exactly what their needs are. It matches perfectly, and they don't buy. But there's no control on the outcome. There's control on the process. And so everything that you do is meant to be, what can I control? Controlling the controllable.
Yes.
Understanding what someone's needs are or pain, being able to address it, and being able to provide your best to them in a sales environment. It could be in a board meeting, and it could be also in therapy when I'm working with an athlete. We don't control the outcome.
Right.
We control the process.
Yeah, I like that. And Gary Keller's written several books, Millionaire Real Estate Agent, Market Shift, and some others. And he also talked about, he wrote a book called The One Thing. And he's got this really unique saying or interesting saying where, it's something to the effect that, what is the one thing that I can do in, and it bring it back from this month. If your yearly goal, what is the one thing I can do this month? And then what is the one thing I can do this week, this day, this hour, this minute, right? So you bring it back to, that in the present, what is the one thing I need to be doing right now?
Absolutely. It's interesting. I always like to talk about the 7 steps of the success model.
Okay.
When you look at individuals who actually set up goals and are able to follow through on it, they oftentimes follow this. And so you want to be able to set your goals, and that's any and all. But we only have a limited amount of time, resources, and energy, so you have to understand your passions.
Okay.
From that, then you want to critically set up the steps that increase your probability of success. And since you haven't already done it, there's obviously challenges, so you have to challenge. That's the second C. Challenge yourself through adversity. You need to then be able to evaluate your progress. Are you actually moving in the direction or not? Mm-hmm. Staying focused. What's the why? What's the reason you keep doing this? Mm-hmm. And then finally, savor the accomplishments once you win it. So SUCCESS. Set the goal, understand your passions, critically set up your steps, challenge yourself through adversity, evaluate your progress, stay focused, and savor the accomplishments. It's stunning when you
celebrate the win.
Do. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you do, you're more likely to follow through on it and follow up later on, because if you reinforce something, it's more likely to reoccur.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Positive reinforcement is one of the strongest, right? And
that's how we work.
And that's kind of how the mind works, right? So if you just joined us, by the way, we're talking with Dr. Harold Schnitzky right here in Tampa Bay. Hold up your book, by the way, for the camera. A Champion's Mindset is his book, 15 Mental Conditioning Steps to Becoming a Champion Athlete, right here in beautiful St. Petersburg is where he's based. We've had the pleasure of having him on the show a few times over the last couple of years. I wanted to jump into something, kind of going from the success talk over to the other side. So many people are facing inflation, having layoffs. This is an article I printed today. The U.S. economy obliterated forecasts of adding more than 500,000 jobs in January, but try telling that to a tech worker that the unemployment rate is 3.4%. The technology industry has incurred daily layoff announcements for months. Several other sectors are now seeing a stream of cutbacks as well. The LinkedIn news team. So it goes on down and talked about how this company, I guess, Cerebral, parted ways with 285 employees. Twitter laid off 200. And then now at one point they had 7,500 employees. They're down to 2,000 workers now. And it goes on and on, different companies, some big names, some smaller names that you might not hear. But the overall point is, how do you deal with those types of negativities, those types of issues, not only within the family, but, in the business world, when you have layoffs, and then you have, what sometimes seems overwhelming to some people.
Yeah, it's intriguing when you talk about it. Individuals who feel as though that their identity is tied completely to whatever it is that they do, they're going to suffer far more when that's removed. So like with the athletes, we talk about life after sport. With military, it's life after service. For individuals, whatever their identity, we always talk about having it a bit diverse. However, as you're pointing out, the reality is that there are many people who are suffering. And for those individuals, if we can begin to consider what are some alternatives, being able to figure out, if I continue doing just the same process, unfortunately, the economy is saying that that's probably not the valued commodity now.
Right.
So I have a lot of individuals who actually, throughout the pandemic, have used this time for their advantage. So they're retooling themselves now.
Exactly.
They're actually now using this as a blessing in disguise.
Yes.
And for those individuals, they may take additional courses, get additional certification, figure out how to network differently, change the resume to be able to move in a different direction.
Right.
All of which a lot of individuals have been in a position where their job has paid the bills, which has been fantastic, but it also hasn't allowed them to potentially grow to their ultimate potential or what they're capable for. And so helping individuals to be able to expand beyond where they were at opens up doors for these individuals.
Yeah.
Things that they never would have thought they were going to participate in.
Right.
So I have a number of individuals who have gotten some of this computer training and certifications that have allowed them to open doors. But I hear what you're saying, that with the economy shifting during the pandemic, a lot of the tech companies just grew like crazy. And now they're discovering that they don't necessarily need that many. So the tech is affected.
Yeah.
As we were saying before we got together today, AI.
Yeah.
As we start moving that direction, a lot of the human repetitive jobs are going to be addressed by machines, mechanical interventions. And so as I always look at it when we say like autonomous driving vehicles.
Yep.
one of the largest positions and jobs in the world is transportation.
Yep.
So people who are Uber drivers,
Yep.
cab drivers, tuk-tuk drivers, train, bus, transportation of all types. If autonomous vehicles step in and autonomous transportation steps in, we have a whole host of people we need to consider retooling.
Yeah.
We have to, if we're going to be embracing this movement forward, which hopefully will decrease deaths on the road, which will be much more efficient. All of those factors can be good, but there are unbelievable pros and cons that we really need to take into consideration.
Yeah, exactly. I remember, some of the different stories. I think it was even a Tesla maybe that went off of the road. It had a malfunction. It's a scary thought to think about, people, or autonomous vehicles out there with no oversight or some kind of a manual override. But yeah, that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And
I think we've all experienced having a virus come onto our computer for whatever reason.
Right.
And that is very concerning if everything is autonomous.
Yeah. Or even, the amount of hacking that goes on too.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah. Hacking with, we've seen numerous hacking. We talked about this on the show with the different pipelines right here in Oldsmar. They had tried to attack the water supply.
Right.
Just some interesting topics there. But yeah, more with Dr. Harold Schnitzky on the other side of this break. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk more about this artificial intelligence subject, technology, and also I got a warning out there for some of the gamers, some of the kids, parents. This is something I just learned about. We're going to talk about that as well. Our feel-good story of the day, and we always like to have some positivity in our show. The world's largest dance marathon breaks record, raising $15 million for childhood cancer. We'll be right back. Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Hey, this is Grant Cardone, and you've been listening to the phenomenal Brandon Rhymes, the Consumer Quarterback Show.
All right, we're back here. Brandon Rhymes, got Dr. Harold Schnitzky in studio, Psychology of Success. We're going to talk about AI, artificial intelligence as well, coming up here in just a minute, plus our feel-good story of the day. Before we do, a couple of hot listings. 2817 Gulf City Road in Ruskin. Attention builders, developers, entrepreneurs, waterfront development opportunity from the Platinum MVP team. 23 acres directly on the Little Manatee River. You've got bay access into the Gulf of Mexico. Enjoy the finest living in Florida. Talking about fishing out in the Gulf of Mexico, boating, of course, skiing. 2817 Gulf City Road in Ruskin. Think about building townhomes on this land, apartments. We know rents are the highest they've been in years, decades actually. Rents are high. Condos, beautiful property, great opportunity directly on the Gulf of Mexico. 2817 Gulf City Road in Ruskin, Florida. That's Hillsborough County. 4404 Marine Parkway. Orient Road, that is. 4404. This is a commercial property, 6020 square feet, 6,000 square feet, well-built office building right here, just down the road from the casino as well, in Tampa, Hillsborough County. 5 units are currently leased. You got great parking, and of course, it's recently updated interior of the property as well. Commercial property from the Platinum MVP team, 4404 Orient Road in Tampa. You can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com. And of course, we got a lot of vacant land available if you're a builder developer. We've got about a dozen or so vacant land parcels available for sale. Tell me something good. All right, every day we'd like to tell you something positive here. So we had the world's largest dance marathon breaking a record, raising $15 million for childhood cancer. This is Penn State University. They raised $15 million in 46 hours. Their no sleeping or sitting dance marathon. It was an all-time record high. The benefit will benefit Four Diamonds, a national nonprofit fund that covers 100% of all medical expenses for families with childhood cancer at Penn State Health Children's Hospital. So the world's largest dance party. It was a philanthropy program. They goes on to talk about how over 707 dancers participated in the iconic dance marathon, and it went from Friday 17th and ran non-stop until Sunday at 4 p.m. Over the half century, the partnership has all medical expenses, including comprehensive specialty care for over 4,800 families. Shout out to the folks up in the Pennsylvania area. Great job up there. Very cool. All right, Dr. Schnitzky back in studio. Let's jump into our next topic, artificial intelligence.
You betcha.
What are you seeing in that space?
Pros and cons. It's going to be fantastic for efficiency. It's going to be able to take whatever is a repetitive action by adults There's an individual I happen to be working with right now, which is talking about kind of the quantum mechanics and the quantum computers that are out there to be able to get computer processing to the edge. So as an individual who might be at a distance at a satellite facility, they have to send their information into the mainframe. The mainframe does the data analysis, and then it comes back out. That delay, unfortunately, can be tragic and can be also not timely. So they talk about real-time information.
Mm-hmm.
So the AI is going to be moving in that direction, which will be really a plus. The downside, of course, it's going to be taking jobs from people. So we have new jobs that are going to be starting because of it, but we're going to have old jobs that are going to be affected by it.
Yeah.
And we have to be able to take that into consideration. In addition, the information that AI processes, like right now we have Chat GPT.
Yeah.
There's an old adage that says garbage in, garbage out.
Yes.
And so if I ask the computer to do something and it's a non-factual based question,
Right.
the computer will actually begin to generate a storyline with also not factual references. It's stunning, and it looks magnificent. So we have a lot of students now who are just kind of creating papers that way, and they're running it through filters so the teachers can't then analyze whether it's just been plagiarized off of this system. That interferes with creative development by the young adults. It interferes with learning and developing how to communicate.
Oh, yeah.
Which is tragic for the future of our species. The capacity of also understanding where is the data coming from. So if there's a bias in the data, and whoever puts the data in, there's implicit bias that exists.
That's my biggest issue with it.
So it could be left or right, and as it plays out, the computer will take that, which unfortunately means that if it's looking to normatize things, it's trying to take all the information in, whatever the norm is can then become overruling to anything that's marginalized.
Right.
Which then interferes with factual-based, accurate information of the total. So it's an ethical issue when it comes to the advancements of our science.
Exactly. That's exactly where I'm going with that. Morals. It goes to morals.
Yes.
It goes to natural rights, God-given rights. I'm going to play a clip here from one of the podcasts I frequently listen to, and it starts on the basis of transhumanism, which again is where this is going. If you're going to be at a severe disadvantage, who knows, 20 years, 5, 10, 15 years, if you don't get some kind of a implant potentially into your, and the people that do it are going to have a severe advantage. So people are going to say, hey, it's just like having a smartphone today, right? How many people say, oh, you know what? I'm not going to do it. Well, I know some 70 maybe year old folks that say, I'm not doing it, I'm like, oh, that's cool. But here's a clip.
So with Yudkowsky, you have to understand he is a transhumanist. He's one of the original transhumanists in many ways. He desires everything from digital immortality to the creation of an artificial intelligence god. He is all about every technology that you and I critique every show. But his concern is that artificial intelligence is moving far faster than human beings are going to be able to apply any kind of restraint to it or to inject any sort of moral qualities, any sort of benevolence that would keep that machine intelligence from either going out of control or just actively turning against us.
Yeah, so that's that's a big challenge, and it kind of goes back to what you were kind of hinting on before. Is it turns into who are going to be the programmers programming these machines? Could be robots, could be drivers of vehicles, and then my fear is that you're going to have some far woke people, and they're going to essentially turn it into a modern day lynching or whatever it could be. Right? I mean, it gets scary.
The influence by either side politically can be detrimental for the potential of this. It can be used as a political hammer and be very destructive. It could be fantastic if we consider more middle-of-the-road centrist kind of idea.
Exactly.
Taking both sides into consideration. We don't have to be – we're not each other's enemies. And so the ability to work collaboratively that – I may not agree with everything that you're saying, but I agree with some of it. And I agree with not everything you're saying, but some of it, and to be able to work together. The curious aspect, when the computer processes the information and comes out with information that's not factual, it's referred to as hallucinations. So computers now are having hallucinations. They're coming up with fictional information
Wow.
that isn't based on data, but it's
Yeah.
based on the interpretation, which then goes to, as you're saying, the benevolence, the morals, the values, the ethics. If in fact, if you think back to movies like 2001 Space Odyssey with HAL making decisions, or I, Robot, where the robots are there to protect us from ourselves, this stunning reality is obviously in the future. But we have to be taking into consideration the morals and the ethics right now while we're creating it. Otherwise, we're going to be trying to put the toothpaste back in the container, and that ain't going to be working.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that's the biggest fear is what they're saying. And then you look at how even just look at the internet, how the internet rolled out, and then what about these laws? We don't even have laws written around these types of things, hacking, and because we were kind of what we were talking about earlier. So then that's a whole nother challenge. The legislative, how do we carry out these laws? How do we develop these laws? So it'll be interesting.
That's a lovely kind of perspective on there because. Nobody wants a massive government, but then again, we're still saying, well, there's positions that we have to be able to get the government involved to be able to monitor it.
Right.
And so being able to take both sides of that argument, I want to have a smaller government, but we still need to have government involved. We need to be wise in terms of what the benefits are going to be. The capacity to work science, technology.
30 seconds, back to you.
Not a problem. The idea of working for the best interests of mankind is going to have a lot of different points of view.
Right.
If we don't put in the time up front, we're going to be struggling to try to contain it later on.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate. I think it's, some of the Davos crowd, the World Economic Forum crowd, those are the leaders in it. Those are the people ahead of the game. And, you're seeing it happening in China and, in some of these other places. So, Dr. Harold Schnitzky, where can they find you online, my friend?
www.drschnitzky, DrSHINITZKY.com.
Got it. All right. Excellent. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate it. Fun conversation.
Always a pleasure.
Awesome. All right. Hey, another great show. I want to thank all of our producers as well behind the scenes. Jose, Alex, and Nicole, thank you so much for all of your help. And thanks to Mark Hay, Dr. Harold Schnitzky as well. And please engage with us. We'd love to engage with you online, consumerqb.com, or of course you can hit the hotline and at Consumer QB Show on Instagram as well. We'll see you next time.
You've been listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Whether it's real estate, consumer, or financial advice, let Brandon call your next play.